No. All right. Syllabus document. Whoa. All right. Now here's the part where I find all my typos and missed one place where I missed changing the date, but if I have to, I'll fix that stuff. All right. So this is hard. It's of course 3 credit hours, January 19th to May 18th. May 18th is the day, Wednesday of exam week, and we are required to meet for during that week. So that would be a day of presentations, finishing up last work. Hopefully, we will be doing that in person. We will, of course, it's kind of a drag to have to start the semester where I say we may or may not be in person, but I'm sure you've gotten used to this by now. I hope so. So the meeting location, in person, online. I believe we're in H245. I need to clarify that. I will. All right, once a week, Wednesdays, in person, online, depending on what's happening with the coronavirus. All right, so we will utilize the Blackboard website and WebEx video conference platform. Okay. Important withdrawal dates. If you decide this week, hopefully, if you want to withdraw from this class and not have to pay for it, you need to withdraw. Monday is the last date to withdraw from it. You should, think about it and contact the registrar's office if you do decide to withdraw from the class. The last date to withdraw with a grade of W is April 25th. Okay. If you're still anyone who's still on the, it happens on occasion. Someone attends class for a while and decides, well, I just can't or don't want to do this anymore, and then never drop the class. If you're still on the roster at the end of the semester when I'm doing final grades, I have to give you a grade, and that grade would be an F, which would be, it's a drag to have to do that with someone, when they really should have just dropped the class, but it's kind of a rule of the college. All right, my contact information. You may actually, I think I haven't updated this. I prefer professor. That is the correct title. You may call me Duffy. That's fine. I, sometimes will tell you, like in more formal correspondence, Professor O'Connor, Mr. O'Connor. Any of those is fine. I went to art school, and in art school, they mostly drop the formal titles except for like the art history professors. But even then, we were on a first name basis with people, and that's fine. So when we're on campus, if you want to meet with me, like if you're like I need help, I will be on campus. Usually, I try to get there before noon on Wednesdays, and I can talk to you. I'm usually doing something to get ready for class, but if you do need my help, I can help you. I also am there a little bit. I would be there a little bit after. Sometimes I'd stay later just to avoid the worst of the traffic. Coming back into Chicago, I live in Chicago, and it's a terrible commute at rush hour. But just let me know. Mainly, I'm on campus on Wednesdays. I'm also on campus on Thursday mornings when we're meeting meeting in person, and I teach Design 1 on Thursday mornings. So if you are like around on a Thursday at like 11:45, 11ish, you just say like, I want to work on Thursday afternoon, but I need your help. So I wouldn't want to stick around after. I have other things that I do on Thursdays, in the afternoons and evenings. I teach community ed classes in different places, so I need to get to those things too. But mainly, if you need my help, I want to help you. And tutoring services at the college are not really all that great for this class, especially because the tutors over there are, they really don't have specialists in this subject. And I tried finding an assistant that would meet the qualifications of the college for this class, but unfortunately, no one was available. So it's you and me, and I can help you. I know the subject well, and I really should be the first person you ask if you need a tutor anyway. So I find that often, I don't often need a. Well, actually, I do. I enjoy having an assistant, but I certainly can do this on my own. Okay, so the course description is, unfortunately, I didn't write it. It's kind of um, vague speak. That drawing and sketching methods, techniques for interior perspective views of architecture. Axonometric drawing, that's like more of a drafting thing. What we're going to do, that is a reference to plan projection perspective method, which I will show you. I think it's week 5 is the week that I'm going to introduce the first plan projection drawing. And I won't go into that too much right now because a verbal description probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. It's a more complex method of getting a perspective drawing from a position on a floor plan, and it's really cool, and I'm confident that you will enjoy learning it, even though it is kind of challenging. So my little assistant Elliot is down here to my right, so some of you remember him. Okay, so the goals, these are the objectives for the course, is that you learn to create 1 and 2 point perspective drawings of architectural space. Create plan projection perspective drawings from a floor plan. Produce color renderings with marker and colored pencil to produce the appearance of color, material, surface properties of designed interior spaces. And that's pretty much what you're going to be doing. And I will always demonstrate to you what you need to do on a particular day, and then you will work, and then I will help you. So hopefully my demonstrations will be clear and clear enough that you can work independently. Okay, so technical skills, internet, email, using Blackboard, and I'll show you, one of the more important things you're going to be you'll have to do, which is to post something in the discussion board. Okay, no required text. There are suggested books that can help you. I find that once I demonstrate something to you and you start to learn how to do it, you don't necessarily need a book, although some books can be helpful. This book, Color Drawing by Michael Doyle, is for rendering. Also the Scalise book, Interior Design Illustrated. John Montague, Basic Perspective Drawing. Those are pretty good books. We have them in the library at Harper College. You can find it online. I find that it's clear and succinct. And I have some copies of it, at least one copy at school that I generally use a little bit in the class for people that need it. John Pyle, Perspective for Interior Designers. This is a book about using plan projection perspective. I don't require these books because they have a lot more information than you would need, and I don't follow them as like a textbook step by step. because they're often just not set up to be like a step-by-step for this course. If it were just perspective drawing for one semester and then another class just rendering, I might use them. Okay. So the grading scale is a standard, like, 90 to 100, 80 to 89, 70, 79. The assignments, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawing assignments. The kitchen perspective drawing, I'm going to have it split up. First, you're going to do this is like the first plan projection. You're going to do the perspective drawing part. Then we're going to switch and do this loft rendering, which is more like a coloring book kind of thing, where I give you a line drawing and you're going to fill it in with a lot of different rendering techniques. Then we're going to come back and do the marker rendering for the kitchen perspective. This loft rendering is actually helpful. Even if yours doesn't look great, you learn a lot about rendering from doing it. Okay, and attendance, 3 points per class session for attendance. So there is a modest grade associated with being in class. So hopefully you will be in class, and if you don't, if there are reasons you can't, down here we have an attendance policy, which is kind of like, actually this is old, I need to edit this. This is what we used to do as attendance. This actually goes back to the program coordinator before Carl, who I loved her. She was great, and but she would say 3 unexcused absences. They would recommend you withdraw. Realistically, we don't really do it that way. I feel like you've got 16-week semester. You've got 16 weeks. And plus exam week is actually a 17th week, and spring break, it does not count as a week in the semester. So really, from now until the end of the semester is 18 weeks. So that's a long time, and if you miss a few classes, it doesn't mean that you can't do well or that you can't learn the information. Okay, so attendance, if I want you to be in class, whether it's online or whether it's in person, because that's probably the best way for you to know what you're supposed to do. And it's the best way for you to know, to just learn how to do these things, because you're here to learn. I don't expect that everybody here already knows the subject. Okay? All right. So the attendance is, I'll just mark you present or not present for a class. And partial attendance usually gets you your 3 points. And whatever that ends up being, whether if it's perfect attendance and 51 points, or if it's 75%, that wouldn't drag the grade down a ton anyway. There's all this other stuff that you're going to be doing for the work. So I apologize if this here needs editing. I thought I always think that I've edited everything, and then I always keep finding things that still need it. This is a long document. Okay, so achieving a high point total. So satisfying minimum requirements is like minimum requirement is a C in my mind, and I think that that's pretty normal. So the grading is really down to my discretion about how well you have completed the requirements of any given assignment. And my I consider it to be my job to make sure that what you're supposed to be doing is clear to you with any of the work that you're doing. It doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. There were plenty of times when I was a student when I got an explanation, I got a repetition of the explanation, and I still was like, okay, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm going to try. And um, there were times when it took me multiple attempts to understand something that I'd never done before. So please be patient with yourself. Uh, I will be patient, and I will explain things multiple times if you need them to be explained. So aspects of doing work, process is working. Like, if you're drawing something and you're trying to figure something out, I mean, while you're drawing is part of when you're figuring something out. If you just, the idea of like, it's kind of like it's an artistic, um, like it's a cliche in the arts that like inspiration, you're sitting there and like, aha, I just got my inspiration. Um, it's rare that you get good ideas just sitting around minding your own business. You get the best ideas when you're working. You can get great ideas, but you go to draw them out, and maybe they're good, maybe they're not. So working is the best. It's the best way to like work through problems, of course, because you can't really anticipate all the challenges if you're not working. Craft is how well you have done something. Often written as, or sometimes I think this is hopefully disappearing, craftsmanship. I grew up in a time when the world, like a lot of what I read and was told as a student, assumed a male audience only. And I always wondered, like, what about all the female students that are listening to you? So I prefer craft, that is how well you've done something. Um, Originality. Um, coming up with like really originality, unique solutions, going beyond the minimum requirements. That's always a nice thing to see. Comprehension. Does your work demonstrate to me that you understand what you're supposed to do? I have a role in that. If I don't explain something clearly, you may not understand what you're supposed to do, and your work may show it. I really hate to be the reason you didn't do well on something. It's a point of pride. I'd rather that it's all you. No, that's I think that I have a role in making sure that you are successful, and I take that very seriously in my job. All right, grades will be posted in Blackboard. Your grade average will appear in the column marked total. Okay, you may rework graded projects and resubmit them. I find that often, sometimes, often students don't have time to do this, but I will offer that. Like if you think you turn something in, I graded it, and you feel like, man, I can do better on this. You can take it home and rework it and turn it back into me. And a high likelihood that you're going to get a better grade if you do that. I can't promise that you will because I haven't seen it. So, okay. Yes, I will fix this up. Especially now in like with this pandemic silliness that we are still going through, everything is just a little bit more difficult. So I'm a lot more forgiving about it. Like if you can't be in class, or if you are late, or you have to leave early, um, then if it's not like egregious, like sometimes I do have a student that just like clearly just seems to think that it doesn't matter if you're there or not. But mostly I know people are, very like seriously like I've had students that just said like, I'm sorry, I have to go pick up my sister at school. Everybody in my family's business is busy. So I was like, okay, I don't want your little sister just standing there, you know, waiting for somebody to come and pick her up. That's, I had to do that as a kid. That stinks. My mom was always late, like really late, because she was working. It's like she just couldn't get there. Um, so I understand. It's a drag to be that kid, but I was that kid. Digital media, phones, laptops, tablets. Please silence them in class. Please don't use them for social media or anything that is not related to the class. They're great for looking up reference images. So this is for in-class stuff. I mean, like you could sit there and eat a pizza during this class if it's online if you want to, as long as your sound and your camera is off and no one can see what you're doing. When we're in class, you know, I get hungry too. I mean, teaching this takes a lot of energy. Sometimes I'm busy and I'm like, oh my God, class is starting in 10 minutes. I don't have time for lunch, so I just work hungry, go drink water, and eat later. Um, so you can have some snacks and drinks. Um, on occasion, someone's got a drink on a drafting table and knocks it over, and then so be advised, put it someplace where you're not going to kick it over or knock it over. Sometimes you knock it over to one side and it goes on somebody else's table. That's even worse because you like undo somebody else's work. So if you have food in the classroom when we go back to class, just be careful with it. Um, but it is terribly irritating to me if I'm doing demonstration and someone's just sitting there eating potato chips. Um, it's not the way to do it. Popping like soda cans open in the middle of like me talking about something, that's just rude. Just don't do it. Um, so, um, but yeah, I don't want to deny you the deliciousness of a soda, but there's a time and a place. Okay, assignments are to be completed on the due date. Late assignments will be accepted with the understand that you're significantly, that's optional. I have the option to say like, okay, I'll take this as long as you agree that there's a reduction of your grade. Normally, it's not like it's actually like in truth, I don't like it to be too punitive, um, but still, mainly the reason to lower a grade for late work is because there are people that stayed up late and took the deadline seriously. And if I don't penalize you or someone for turning in late work, then the other people could look at me like, well, why did I even bother staying up late? I could have just turned it in late, no big deal. So that's why. Also, deadlines help you to stay on track to keep the work going. If you let work pile up at the end of the semester, you'll be very sorry, and you will find that you will decide, well, I guess I'm just not going to do that entire project because I didn't give myself enough time. I remember in my first few years as a college student, I let that kind of thing happen to me because I was either out having fun, I was on the cross country and track teams in college. Um, I would give more attention to my training. And then you get to the end of the semester and you think like, man, I really should have spent a little bit more time when I had the chance. So, but that's the kind of thing that I had to learn by goofing things up, uh, not to do that. Okay. Um, so withdrawal, yeah. So this is my encouragement. Please, if you are having, if this class isn't going to work for you, please drop the class within a certain time frame, and either save yourself the money or the F. Okay. Um, the academic calendar and financial aid, like the financial aid calendar, is on the Harper website. It's pretty easy. You just do like a search for those things in like the search field. You'll find them. They'll come right up. Academic misconduct and plagiarism. Well, it's hard to prove that you like if somebody else did your work. If this class is online, it's hard. I can't see you, so I don't know. Like if you've got some person who's very nice and wants to spend the time doing your work for you, that's pretty unlikely. When we meet in class or when we're working online, even when we're working online, I still see what you do. So if it's I I can think of one or two times in my 21 years teaching um, interior design students in and around Chicago that somebody was pretty clear to me that somebody had somebody else doing her work for her, and you know um, that was awkward to work that out, but so I don't usually worry about it. But yes, academic dishonesty um, can get you into a lot of trouble. That's the kind of thing that can get the dean's office involved, where people who demonstrably cheat on things. That's a matter of like that's a little bit more serious. So don't. Access and accommodation. Um, if you do qualify with, if you have um, any sort of disability or any kind of need for accommodation, you should contact the Center for Students with Disabilities. They will inform me. This is all, it's also it's confidential. I don't need to know what or why, but I do need to know if there is a need on the part of any student for whatever accommodation the student qualifies for. Okay, equal opportunity. Yes, discrimination is not. It's not allowed, and the expectation of civil and courteous behavior in the classroom or online reflects mutual respect between faculty and students and sets the stage for a positive learning environment. Absolutely. Um, I have not run into any problems with teaching online and people treating each other badly because this isn't Facebook. So, all right. So here, student support resources. There are all kinds of services available to you as students. The library is still in operation. Um, you can get books. They have digital resources. Um, you can check books out virtually. I believe you still have the option of going and picking books up. Um, so I find the library is still a good resource. And I'm glad that the college has committed to keeping the library an important part of the campus. Um, some of this computer labs, writing center, this stuff doesn't really apply much. Okay. Success services, if you do need that. There are wellness and so the safety and wellness. There are services available to you as students that are not a part of this class. It's just part of you being a college student. I remember in graduate school, the University of Iowa had, the School of Social Work at the University of Iowa was outstanding, and the counselors at if you need to talk therapy counselors, they were great. I loved going to I couldn't figure stuff out in my life. I'm going to go see one of these guys, and I thought it was great. It actually made a big difference for me in my time in college, and just helping me straighten some stuff out. So take advantage of these services if you need them. Here we have, this is the Harper Early Alert Team. This is if there's a problem. If you witness a confrontation, people have become more and more confrontational in this world, and sometimes it spills over into our onto our campus. There is this, the early alert team is there to help de-escalate. That's a de-escalation crew that they come to try to settle people down before the police are called. which I think is a really great idea. Harper Police also, um, I've always known the Harper Police to be courteous and serious and professional. So those are all things. Okay, here, now what you've all been waiting for. Summary of graded assignments with due dates. All right. Um, so in Blackboard, I'll show you the Blackboard assignment section with project folders. We'll give you more detailed information about each assignment and the requirements and the learning objectives. So Friday, May 20th at midnight is the final due date for all work for the semester. The 18th of May is our last meeting. That's the exam week meeting. You may still need a couple more days to get something done. I have to submit grades the Tuesday after May 20th. So I can't, I can only take projects so late before I have to have them in so that I can grade them and get the grades done before I have to submit the grades to the college. I cannot be late on that. I have to submit like your final grades for your classes on time. Otherwise, the grades have to be changed by the dean, and the dean doesn't like that. And I really don't want to be the guy. So like, oh yeah, sorry. Like, what were you doing? How did you not know? So, any questions so far?
Czy nie do tej drugiej pracy?
Claudia, your microphone's on. Hey.
I'm so sorry. I put it in my pocket and I think I turned off. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Just telling you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Oh, sure thing. Hey, come here. Sorry, he's trying to squeeze behind me on the chair. Come here, baby. For those of you who have not met him, this is Elliot. He is my oldest cat and my little baby. Okay, so today I'm going to introduce to you this introductory perspective exercise, drawing forms in 1 and 2 point perspective. I will have you turn them in next week. It will be after class next week. We're going to work on this in class this weekend, next week. And then you'll submit them in Blackboard, and I'll show you how to do that. The second assignment is going to be drawing furniture in perspective and applying marker rendering. That will be weeks 3 and 4. And then they will be due February 16th, which is the week 5. So you'll have the week between February 9th and 16th to do homework and finish up those drawings. I think this is pretty manageable. Then the third assignment, kitchen perspective drawing, where I will introduce to you the process of plan projection, the magic of plan projection. That will be 2 weeks. Then loft rendering is going to be as a coloring book assignment, kind of. And then we will come back to the kitchen perspective and do marker rendering with colored pencil for 2 weeks. There I'll show you how to do like both of these, loft rendering and the kitchen perspective rendering. I'll be showing you how to do like materials, finishes, sort of like effects of light and shadow and reflections. That's fun when you get it. And I want to go through all that stuff carefully so that you do get it. Then the final 2 drawings are going to be more like bigger projects with a perspective drawing where you will bring your own floor plan and elevation. If you do not have a floor plan or elevation from a previous project, like if you like a design studio course, then I will provide one to you. All right, and then this last assignment will be another one where you do this again with either a different floor plan or a different view from the same floor plan. Okay? General stuff like, paper, drawing and drafting tools, so like pencil, eraser, triangle, scale, ruler. There are a bunch of things from the drafting supply kit that you would use here. So like drafting scale, triangle, mechanic, like lead holder, I think even like if there's an erasing shield. Um, I don't use erasing shields very much, but sometimes they can be very helpful if you're being like really it's like want to like erase a line and there's something next to it that you don't want to touch. So we will have gray markers, colored pencils. Drafting dots and tape are a must. And my plan, since the expectation is that we were meeting in person, is that I have a couple of larger rolls of tracing paper that we will use, and I was planning on just letting you use those rather than everybody buying their own roll of tracing paper. If you have a roll of tracing paper, then you can use that roll of tracing paper, and if you don't, I have some. I just, normally I just tell people get some tracing paper, but going through my stuff, I saw that I have several rolls of 18-inch wide tracing paper, and I figured that I'll just use them up and let you guys use them. So, okay. That's the syllabus. I'm going to save that. Post it. Here's my, okay, so here's the Blackboard. If you want to know, like syllabus and schedule over here on the left side menu, that'll give you the document, and then I have reposted that summary of assignment and due date so it is easily accessible to you. All right? And if there's ever anything that's not clear, please tell me this is not clear. I do not, like I'm trying to find something, or, I always want to make sure that you know what you're supposed to do. Hey. All right. Supplies. All right, so I posted both like Word document and PDF. I know, so if you don't, if for some reason like Word documents sometimes get scrambled, or if you're trying to open it on your phone, you don't have Word on your phone, you can't open it. PDFs are a better way to go. So have any of you looked at any of these like links down here? No? Okay. Well, so for the first, really like the first 3 weeks, we're going to be using pencil and eraser and on paper. So any kind of like, a regular, stop it. Thanks, guys. God, Dennis, here's the largest cat. He won't leave me alone because he thinks that it is time for his midday snack, and it's not, is it? No. So, all right. Get your butt down there. So if I sent this, I guess I had the announcement where I told you that you did not have to rush out and get everything right away, although it might be more efficient to do so. So I have these like different links, Prismacolor markers, Copic sketch markers. You did not need to buy both. It's one or the other. Like the brands are different. These guys, so this is to Blick's website. These are my favorite, like just in terms of like the way they work. They tend to be the most expensive. Blick has a version of its own kind of like its own knockoff of this marker that are less expensive. Those are fine. You can use those. I like these markers because like this chisel nib down here is really sharp, and draw well, and the brush nib is really nice to draw with too. There also, you can buy refills, and I'll show you. I'll do the overhead camera and show you some of the supplies that I have, so you can see them a little more clearly.
I went yesterday to Blick and it's Copic, right?
Yeah, that's how they pronounce it. I've always said
Okay.
Copic.
So Copic, they're actually cheaper if you buy them individually. It was like if you buy six, they were like $3 and something cents a piece than it is to buy like a pack of six. Like a pack of six was like $39. But if you bought them by individual color,
Wow.
it was cheaper. I mean, really, you could get six for like $19.
Well, good to know. Thank you. Um, yeah, it's weird that they would do that, but um, I don't know if that's just a mistake on their part, or if they think no one's going to notice, or if they think this set is so good, you should pay much more for it.
Yeah.
That's an excellent. There's someone like, right? It's like there's someone there. They're a little smarter than the rest of us. If we just charge
It's
more,
yeah, it's easier
people
just to
will be
look at the set
happier
and
because
write down the colors and then just buy them individually.
thank you. Yes. Now I also have this. This is their website. Now, when if you just want to get into like their markers, um, they have like the sketch is this one. I like, I love art supplies. Here, refillable. This shows you like how you take the chisel nib off and you put this nozzle in there, and then you just squirt it in there. You actually have to take the both caps off if you refill them. I only buy refills to certain colors that I use a lot. So I'll show you that. In terms of paper, if you have a sketchbook, like like a smaller sketchbook, and if you already have it, you can take it and use it for some of the drawings. Let me make sure that I put the right one in here. Yeah, so this pad is 11 by 14, $6.40, 30 sheets. That's plenty. There are times when we're going to take perspective drawings and make photocopies of them so that you can do color studies. This pad I think is good to have for drawing on for like the first, especially the first several assignments. Okay. If you have Micron pens or some other kind of like drafting pen, you can use that. I love these Pilot Fineliner pens. I tend to be a little heavy-handed, and so I crush the nib a little bit. But they're inexpensive. I also have some fountain pens that I use because I get tired of using pens up and throwing away plastic. It's getting, it gets to where like you just get sick of it. There's so much plastic waste in the world. This is an optional thing that can be kind of nice. This very tiny eraser. It's very good for detailing. That's if you well that it can be. Yeah, I think it can be worth it because it can make your life simpler. But you can do this. You can do the class without buying that specialized eraser. Prismacolor colored pencils. Now this set, I think this set is like with the colored pencil, the set tends to be less expensive than buying like I think these individual pencils are they cost enough that you wouldn't be able to get 24 for this price. Probably the most important, if you have just like a set of Crayola colored pencils sitting around, most of those would work fine. The white colored pencil, however, should be this Prismacolor Premier colored pencil. It's very soft. Oh, these are $1.29. I think that's where the set used to be cheaper. Oh, these. Why are they doing this? They're doing this with the pencils too. Well, anyway, this Prismacolor. So what you want with a white colored pencil, there are times when we're going to use the white colored pencil to put highlights on like a dark surface, like a dark marker, a dark layer of marker. The white pencil will show up really clearly. So you can do like kind of like sharp highlights and lighting effects with it. But the white colored pencil that comes in a lot of other, like the Blick Studio version or Crayola or anyone, and a lot of the other ones are just not, they're not opaque. They don't show up. So it's very frustrating. That's why I single that one out. All right. Bring up the supplies list. All right. So here, yeah, so pencils. Number 2 pencil, which is an HB graphite, which is wood clinched, or just like, it's set in wood. 0.5 or 0.7 millimeter mechanical pencil with HB graphite, or a drafting lead holder. If you have a pen, just like a standard pencil that's clinched in wood, you should be prepared to sharpen it often. In the classroom, there are really nice wall-mounted sharpeners, but especially right now, having a handheld sharpener is not a bad idea. Actually, very good idea. Erasers, white vinyl eraser, sticky eraser for detailed erasing. I guess I'd. All right, inking pens. So if you've already got like Micron pens, you don't need to go buy more pens. Just a pen for inking. Colored pencil. I think one reason for the set of 24 with the colored pencils is that it's kind of simpler because you can mix those colors, mix the pencils to get a lot of other colors too, which I will show you. Markers only by one brand. These guys, Copic, Prismacolor, or Blick brand. Somebody a few years ago found like somewhere in the depths of the internet some like knockoff marker brand from I don't know where, and they were really cheap, but the colors were all like fluorescent and very saturated, bright colors, and most of them were really not usable. So he had to end up going and getting colors like these. So I have some grays. In terms of the grays, I recommend that you only get a few of them. The dark grays, I have a bunch of dark gray markers, and I almost never use them. The grays are used to sort of like adjust the value of other colors in marker or pencil, and the like very light, like N0 in the Copic markers. N0 is like N is neutral gray, and here that's what the N means. If it's like C0, C2, C4, those are cool gray. They have a designation of T, which is toner gray, and then they have a W, which is warm gray. Either, any of them. The warm gray tends to be a little bit too. It's really kind of like a tan. It's actually pretty nice. It's kind of like it's definitely like a warmer gray. But I like the more neutral ones because then it's more flexible whether you're using it to adjust a warm or a cool color. Okay. So I say this with the Copic markers. They're refillable, order refills from the Copic website. If it sounds like Blick is like selling refills again, great. They used to sell them, then they stopped selling them, and if they're doing it now again, that's fine. You can buy them. You can buy. I think Blick has the stuff on its website also. All right, so here what they look like, and then there's a refill. I have a refill, which is the lightest, the N0, because I use it a lot. Now, colors. These are the same color, different marker, like the barrel. This is like a regular, a bigger, chunkier marker of the same. There. Should have done that earlier. Okay. So the markers have a number, like a number designation, like this mahogany, like I think it's called leather, E39, or maybe this one is leather, E13. So they're identified by their like by a letter number, and on the end of the cap, it will give you this like a name, like a creative name, or like yellow green or something like that. Now this is YG93. Okay, I don't want you to buy a lot of these markers because the range of what you use in interior design is more limited. Browns, like if you think about the materials, wood and stone, fabric upholstery, that's where you might get a little bit more, like, a little more saturated color. But bright yellow, bright red, bright blue, you don't use them very often. And you can cut them. You can reduce the saturation of a marker color with gray and with colored pencil. But I think if you buy markers that start closer to the color that you're trying to create, you don't have such difficulty trying to achieve it. All right. So here's my recommendation with gray markers. You only need the lightest values. In the Prismacolor brand, 10% to 30%, 0 to 4 in the Copic brand. The few colors pictured above correspond generally to materials such as wood, stone, and upholstery, and are good to start with. For at least one of the perspective drawing marker writers, your goal will be to match colors specified in an existing design. Your design, for example, although you might not have specified upholstery color. All right, so some additional supplies. Drafting scale, our 12-inch ruler, 45 degree triangle, drafting dots or tape, erasing shield. If you have stuff like these, like there's a lot of stuff from the drafting kit that I'm sure you can use. So okay, sorry about that. I saw that message and thought I would check. Okay. All right. Any questions about the supplies? Great. Okay. Let's go to, I think what I need to do. Let's stop sharing my screen. I'm going to set up my overhead camera here. Okay, good. Stop sharing. All right, I'm going to take a couple minutes and get my overhead camera set up here, and I will be back. Yeah, I'll turn off my video for a second while I move some things around. Okay, got it here. Um, all right, so I have a question for you. How many of you have done linear perspective or any kind of perspective drawing before? Anybody?
Yes.
Yes, you have. That was Danica, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so maybe do you remember like a this like what like in terms of like how you would explain it, what linear perspective is?
Definition of it or how you would do it?
Like I guess a definition of it.
I guess the linear perspective is a method by which you would present a depth or 3 dimensions in a drawing, and it's using a vanishing point on a horizon, whether it's a 1 point, 2 point, midpoint. Just off the
Yeah.
top of my head.
Good. That's a that is all correct. So and what what linear perspective does is it allows us to imitate the way human vision works and how we perceive depth in and like 3-dimensional space. So I think first. All right. Go. There it is. Just a little bit. Okay. You know what? I think one of the first things markers, pencils, regular pencils, sharpener, eraser, scale. I'm not going to use those today, but I'll show you that. And I have some of these. These are actually nice. They have like an aluminum barrel on them. But like, pens like this one, This is like the same, kind of like the same thing as a micron. They work best if you hold them perpendicular to the paper that you're drawing on. The Pilot is more like a writing pen, so you can have it at an angle. I like these, especially when they're new. I do have some fountain pens, as I mentioned, that I refill with ink. Those are nice. They can get a little bit messy, but you know. And boy, you know, I've just got so many things like lead holder, mechanical pencil. Yeah, it just never ends. I've accumulated so many supplies. It's kind of nice. I like it, but you know, I mean, really, you can get by with pencil, regular. Oh. Yeah, just like a regular, like, Black Warrior pencil. Something to use. Anything to catch the things in there. All right. I think I might use a pencil that shows up strongly with this. That. See what that crash was. Okay. Okay, so the linear perspective was introduced by a guy named Brunelleschi. He was a Florentine or Italian living in the city of Florence somewhere around, I think, like 1410, 1420. He demonstrated this method of drawing, really representing three-dimensional space. And he established some rules for perspective. Parallel edges will appear to converge as they recede. Now, normally in geometry, parallels are never, they are always stay the same distance apart forever and ever. It's more of an abstract thing. In perspective drawing, they appear to converge. So with Dannecker mentioned horizon. So the horizon line, and follow along with me at home. The horizon line is presumed to be eye level for the viewer. So you looking at this presumes that this is your eye level. And in this case, I want to make a drawing here, which is in 1-point perspective. Oops, that's off to the side here. 1 point. That's a 1 vanishing point on the horizon line. This is your VP. Right there. Can you all see this clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And we should be drawing along with you?
Yes, I think that would help you
Okay.
to draw along with me. I mean, you can watch and, but then this way you'll get your own drawing. Okay. So one of the simplest way to demonstrate the way this works is if you imagine this horizon is like a real horizon out, like you're out in the desert or some very large space, like eastern Colorado as you're heading toward the Rockies is flat, and you're driving on I-80. And the road seems to do that. Is this something you've all ever noticed before, or some of you have noticed before?
Yeah.
It didn't have to be in Colorado. But we can say here, look, there are the mountains in the distance there. Right? If I overlap them, that also seems to create depth. Now, this vanishing point here, the sides of the road are parallel to each other. You know that intellectually. But you don't see them as parallel. You see them as receding, converging as they recede. And that's perspective. Parallel edges of, any parallel edges, if there's another like a median here, if there are multiple or if this is just like a regular, I don't know what I'm going to do here. What I'm going to do is place something here. Now I want you to watch. I'm going to draw a building over here. Hey, Elliot. What's the emergency, Elliot? Okay, so there. This needs to be. All right, so if this is a building on the side of this imaginary road here, it's taller than eye level. The top edge seems to recede. The top edge comes down to the vanishing point. The bottom edge goes up. The way I've drawn this establishes that this building is parallel to this road because all of their receding edges are going to the same point. And this is where we're going to start out with 1-point perspective because it is a little more straightforward and simpler. Okay? And if I want to find the center of this side, so like this sort of foreshortened side of the building, I draw diagonals across. You may have done this. Have any of you done this in a drafting class or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So cross diagonals will find center of a rectangle, whether it's a flat figure or whether it's in perspective. So this is going to be in the middle. Then if I want to have like a doorway on here, then I can approximate that so So you see this, like this half right here looks smaller than this half, and that's because things seem to get smaller as they recede. Like in the case of the road here, it's the width of the road. Like if you had like stripes running across here, they would seem to get closer together, and they would also conform to the width of it, so they would seem to get narrower as they recede. So this is, straighten this. Now these verticals, I want them to be perpendicular or like 90-degree angle with the horizon line. Sometimes I gotta sit like right over it. So off to the side here. Hang on, Joe. These guys, it is like, I guess he's telling me it's time to eat. Okay. The first assignment that I'm going to have you do is going to be simple, where I'm going to ask you to draw rectangular objects in different positions on a sheet of paper. Okay? So what you do, and we're going to take a break here in a little bit and settle these boys down. You start with a horizon line and a vanishing point. You're going to do one set that's 1-point perspective drawings and another set that's 2-point perspective drawings, and I will show you the difference between the two before we're done today. Here's how you would just draw simple objects in perspective. Horizon line, vanishing point. Start with a rectangle. You can set it off to the side. It can be smaller back here. The higher up you draw it, the closer to the horizon line it is, the farther away it's going to seem to be. Now, from the corners of this, so like these horizontal of the top and the bottom parallel to the horizon line, verticals, just draw them straight, perpendicular to the horizon line. And from the corners, this one too, there would be a corner here, which is like if this is solid, it would be hidden, you wouldn't see that, but it's there. So these edges, so this is like the top and the bottom receding to the vanishing point of this object. And then of course I'll decide, this is, I'm making this up, so I decide it only goes back this far in space. Then when the vertical reaches this top edge, I draw a horizontal parallel to this one. Watch out for angling this up this way. It happens where it's like you just like do something like that, and it doesn't really correspond to the thing that you're drawing. You can use a straight edge to check. It's pretty good. Some of these where it gets really like, really like farther away to the left, the angles can seem like really like kind of like lower there or flatter than you think. But you draw it to the vanishing point. Don't say like, yeah, it doesn't look right, I'll just do this. Right? Because then like I can see the top now. That would be wrong, because that's not what the view would look like in that position. The vanishing point is the center of the vision for the viewer, or the presumed viewer of the drawing. So obey your vanishing point and don't make things up. So if this doesn't seem quite right, you know, it's possible in a perspective drawing to keep drawing left and right. And out here would really like normally be in the peripheral vision if you were actually looking at something. In a perspective drawing, you can keep drawing left and right and get way out into what would normally be the peripheral vision. And you can draw things clearly. You know, you can see all of this stuff clearly when in real life, if you were standing there looking straight ahead, stuff out here would be in your peripheral vision, and you'd have to turn your head to see it, and it would change the angle. So just follow the rule. There. This is a good example up here. Where this, you know, angle is really, the closer you get to the horizon line, the more it's going to just be a closer and closer to being a horizontal line. Now, I have a lot of experience drawing, so I'm comfortable drawing freehand and just, you know, making like quick straighter marks, or like building it up out of several marks. But you know, having the using a straight edge and going just straight to the vanishing point, you can be a little bit more sure that your angle is correct. Oh, let's see, that's even wrong. This has to be flatter. Like you almost don't see this corner. It's so close to the horizon. Oh, hello. Hi. Oh, okay. Well, now it's time to look at Elliot. Listen, I'm working, man. Come on. The desk lamp is warm. They think that this is like a little tanning salon over here. Okay, so I want you to draw objects in different positions. Three of them below the horizon line, and three of them above the horizon line. Now, above the horizon line, you don't see the top of the object, you see the bottom of it. Almost. So, you know, drawing this freehand, you know, I learned to like make quick marks so they tend to go straighter. If they're slow and careful, they tend to get wobbly. You know, but you know, you can make an error drawing freehand. You can also make an error using the straight edge. Like if I have this like angled out the wrong way, it'll be a really clear mistake, easier to see. So like if you're using a drafting table, you could use a triangle and set like, you know, draw the horizon line with the mainline bar, and then just set the triangle on the bar, and then draw your verticals that way. When we do the plan projection in class, we will definitely be using the drafting tables. Those are very useful. Okay, so then here, just chill out, man. Hey. And then one up here. Let's see, like way up here, I'm right above the vanishing point, and I really wouldn't see any of this side of this one. And so if something has to be right there, that's going to look awkward because it seems like I might see a little sliver. If you place a drawing in this position, you think that looks awkward and weird. You're correct. It does look awkward and weird. So since you're making these things up, you could move it over by just enlarging that rectangular face. Draw down to the horizon line and then make that look better. I still would only see two, like the front and the bottom. I don't see the sides because it's directly above the vanishing point. Okay, this one still needs, like, you kind of see that it's not quite parallel. All right, that's good. And then I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to take. Let's see. I'll show you the alteration, then I'll show you again later on. This object right here in the front. I'm just going to make a slanted surface. So if I do this, so what I did there is I made an alteration on the front there and just like draw a diagonal down. I draw over the top across to the back edge and across the side of the back edge, and then I can just connect that one too. And then I just like make this like more like a fall front surface or just like a slanted surface on it. This is the kind of alteration I'm going to want you to do on this first assignment, just to work on practicing how perspective works. You know, the second assignment, I'm going to have you use perspective to draw furniture. But, you know, this first one, perspective there, yeah, this one would just go like there. Good. All right. Okay. Does that, how does that look to you? Does it seem understandable?
Yeah,
Yes.
Very,
it looks like a barn.
kind of, yeah.
Like you can walk under it.
Yep, so I wanted to make that space. So like making this notch out of the bottom, like so there would be like edges like new edges receding to the vanishing point here and also on the inside, but if this is a solid surface, I can't see that. And if there's space, then I will take this, you know, open up this bottom edge here. Okay, and then draw up. Oh, that's awkward. Here. It should be more like that. And that. Now here's something I want to point out. You see what happened when I drew this angle of the inside up to the vanishing point? It came really close to intersecting this corner. there's no rule that says that this diagonal is supposed to go to that corner. On occasion, I see someone will do that thinking like, oh, you just draw to the corner. No, you draw to the vanishing point. The height of this, I drew this opening really arbitrarily. And if this edge goes to that corner, that's a coincidence. It really doesn't. And just to be clear, you know, I can like, if I'm making this up, I can just make sure that I open that up a little taller to make sure that they don't do that. Because something that, you know, there might be a certain logic to that. Thinking like, oh yeah, you just draw to this point. No, you don't. You draw to this point. And this is, you know, that's just, I don't want you to get the wrong idea about how this works and just make errors because you thought something, you know, that you thought something is accurate that is not accurate. There we go. Okay, and he's back. All right. Back to chew on a pencil. All right, I am going to have a break here and get these boys some food and settle them down. Let's take 15 minutes. So at 2:50, come back here to the class, and we will do more of this. If you'd like to just spend some time, you know, working on this and practicing, just making sure that you can get, like, you know, how one-point perspective works, that's great. Then I will review this again, and then I'm going to talk about two-point perspective, which is a different orientation to the objects. All right.